Hey YouTube, welcome back to Dwayne's World. So have you done your first official mow of this 2025 season? Well, I'm going to do that today. What am I using? That bad boy right there, my 25-inch catalyst. You want to see how it's going to look? You better stay tuned. Alright, so welcome back to Season 4, Episode 8 here on Dwayne's World. And I'm very excited about today's episode because of the fact that I have not actually got in my first official mow. Well, why not? Well, the lawn hasn't fully greened up yet, of course, but we're very close to being there. You want to see how far along it is? Let me go ahead and show you guys. All right, guys, so there we have it. As you guys can see, got quite a bit of a green up. I'd probably say overall on my entire lawn, it's probably about 60% greened up at this point. Now, we did have some unseasonably warm weather over the last few days that really caused the lawn to really start to wake up here. But it's probably going to slow down just because of the fact over the next few days, it's going to be cooler temperatures. Now, the last time I actually mowed this lawn was using my McLean to do that cleanup cut. But I figure now is the time to break out the catalyst. So let me show you guys what cartridge I'll be using and kind of a little bit about my 25-inch catalyst. All right, so here she is. For those of you that are brand new to my channel, first of all, welcome. But what you're looking at here is California Trimmer's newest lawnmower that they've added to their lineup. This is the 25-inch catalyst that has a cartridge system that basically allows you to be able to switch out different reels, different cartridges. So that way you can give your lawn everything you would need in an all-in-one machine. Now for today, as you guys can see, I have my grass catcher on, but behind it, we have our 10-blade reel. So you may be wondering, well, Dwayne, why did you choose to go with your 10-blade reel? Well, let me talk to you guys about it. Now, some people often ask the question, Dwayne, are more blades better than less blades? Meaning, is a 10-blade better than a 7? Is a 7 better than a 5? Is a 14 better than a 10? Well, I know it may sound better, meaning you think more blades may mean a better quality of cut, and it could. But there's a lot of different determining factors to determine whether or not you truly need anything more than a 7-blade. A 7-blade generally is probably the best choice for the majority of homeowners. I probably would say over 80 to 90% of people probably just need the 7-blade. Now you may be wondering, well, Dwayne, why did you get the 10-blade then? Well, I have a couple of 7-blade mowers already in my arsenal, and I kind of figured, you know what? I'd like to kind of step up my game here and pick up a 10-blade. But very quickly thereafter, if you guys go back and see some of my content that I put out when I first featured my catalyst, I very quickly picked up a 7-blade reel, even though I originally purchased it with the 10-blade. Now, the reason why is because generally throughout the growing season, I maintain my lawn at 3/4 of an inch, if not a little higher, as we get into the later months of the growing season. Now, typically with the 10-blade, you want to be mowing somewhere between maybe a little under a 1/2 inch to a 1/2 inch. Now, I'll be honest with everybody, especially if you're new to reel mowing. Most people do not have the discipline to maintain a 1/2 inch cut. Now, some of you may be wondering, no, Dwayne, I can do it. It's not an issue. Well, let me tell you, if you live in a climate like mine, which most of you do, being in the southern part of the United States, you are going to be mowing almost, if not every day, to be able to maintain that 1/2 inch. And that is probably even with plant growth regulator. That's where a lot of people get hung up and they think they need to continue to mow lower and lower and lower to get a really good looking lawn. Now, I know we all like that really tight carpet type look on our lawns. We love the stripe action. But I got to tell you, with most hybrid Bermudas, 3/4 inch is probably the optimal sweet spot when it comes to stripe action, color, and being able to not ruin your life by having to mow every single day. That's why I really recommend for most people, you probably want to have your height of cut somewhere between 3/4 inch and 1 inch. And I think you're going to be really happy with that result. But don't even be surprised that a 3/4 inch height of cut is going to be very difficult to maintain even during that growing season. You're going to have to be mowing at least 3 times a week. All right, so with that, speaking of height of cut, let's go ahead and take a look and see exactly where I set up my catalyst for today's mow. Now, some of you catalyst owners may be thinking, well, Dwayne, yeah, I absolutely love the fact that I have so much versatility in the height of cut. When it comes to the catalyst, it's really difficult to sometimes see exactly where my height of cut is. Well, one of the things that I do is I go ahead and grab a little rivet here, and hopefully it's coming out on camera here. Yep. And basically all I'm looking for, and you can use like a finishing nail or even like a plastic straw, because what you want to do, you're going to grab your little metal object there, and you're going to go ahead and just place it through the hole here on the hide to cut bar. Just like that. And as you guys see, it popped out on the other side. So this way I can see exactly what my hide to cut is. And if you guys can kind of tell there, it is between a 1/2 inch and 3/4 inch, which means I'm cutting at about 5/8, which is exactly what I want to do, because I'll be maintaining at 3/4 inch. But for the start of our growing season, I'll probably be keeping it at 5/8, just because of the fact that I won't have to be mowing as often until the heat starts to pick up. And at that point, I'll bump it up to the 3/4 inch. And that's also why I chose to use my 10 blade. All right, so with that, let's get back to our mow. All right, guys, let me go ahead and turn off the mower here. So show you guys the clippings, kind of how they're looking right now. As you guys can see there, quite a bit of green coming off, but still also quite a bit of dead material. So it's important that you do catch your clippings anytime you do have any of that dead material. Definitely do not want to put that back in the lawn. All right, so last year when I picked up my catalyst and I used it for the first couple times, I saw some unevenness in the cut. And I was generally, in my opinion, because of the fact that my Bermuda was so thick. Now, you guys should have seen in my more recent videos, I did do the verticut, I did the scarify, and really got out a lot of the dead thatch and really thinned out my lawn to really start off this growing season. I'm going to show you guys right now that I'm not experiencing any of those same cutting issues. When I'm coming down to the actual turf, I'm not getting any of that unevenness that I was getting before. Now, I am mowing in this direction right here. So as I'm kind of turning my camera here on the side, if you guys notice, there is no height variance between one pass and another. And that's really important. That's why a lot of people sometimes often think during that time of year, something's wrong with their reel mower, especially if you're new to reel mowing. But one of the ways I knew that I did not have an issue with my lawnmower is because of the fact that I have had that same issue with every single one of my reel mowers. So I knew that not every single of my reel mowers had an issue. It was simply because the lawn was so thick. But that's why I'm so excited, because with the Scarify, with the Verticut, hopefully, I will not be seeing a lot of those same issues this year. I'll be able to maintain and really help thin out the turf as the growing season goes on. So with that, let's get back to the mow. For those of you that are new to the Catalyst, I want to give you a little tip here on how I like to actually propel my mower when I'm using it. The first thing I do is I go ahead and actually depress my reel. So I'm running my reel at 100%, regardless of the RPM, regardless of how fast my walking speed is. I'm always going to have my reel moving at full speed. Now with my other hand, I'm going to basically start to slowly depress the propulsion lever, so that way I'm not going to get any type of wheelie hop. That way I get a really smooth start to each of my passes. All right, guys, let me just jump here on the video for a minute and talk to you guys about spring dead spot. I absolutely hate spring dead spot, and I don't think there's one person that actually likes it. So what is it? Well, during the fall season, if you did not put down a fungicide, or if maybe you did, but just the conditions were just right, you may have developed the type of fungus that you'll be not able to see until the springtime. Well, why aren't you able to see it? Well, during the fall season, remember, our lawns are dormant, so it's not actively growing. Now, if you have spring dead spot, what's going to happen is you're going to have a little piece of your grass isn't growing back, and you're not going to understand why. So what do you do about it? Well, eventually it will fill in. It will fix itself, but it could take almost an entire season. When I was doing my spring cleanup video for you guys, I noticed during the cleanup pass that there was a patch of my grass that just looked a little bit different. It was a little whiter. And then also too, as we started to green up, I could tell it wasn't growing back. And I figured, you know what? I probably have spring dead spot. All right, so let me go ahead and turn the camera around so I can show you guys what I did. So that way, hopefully, that area will grow in a lot quicker. All right, if you guys come down to the lawn here, as you guys can see here, there's a part of my lawn here that you have all this dormant grass here. So what I did is I went ahead and took a couple of plugs from good parts of my lawn using my Pro plugger and actually just put different pieces of Bermuda and basically extracted out the bad and put in the new. Now I could have probably done a couple extra plugs, but I figure, you know what, this is going to help be able to spread a lot quicker. Now, if I did not do those plugs, as you can imagine, it's quite a bit of an area that has to fill in. It may fill in, but it may take the greater part of the growing season. So this should definitely be able to help this area be able to recover a little quicker. And basically what I did, I just took a little bit of sand just to kind of level it all out. And now we should be good to go. All right, guys, so I'm just about done with my trim pass, but I figured I'd stop right here for just a moment because I want to point something out to you guys, because I want to just show you one of the characteristics of the California trimmer whenever you're mowing closely against concrete. All right, guys, so let me take you down to the bottom of the mower here because it's the same thing on the front and the back. Now, if you imagine the front of the mower is going to have the reel. This reel roller actually lines up exactly with the reel, so the roller itself is 25 inches, just like the reel is. But if you notice, there's a gap here between the frame and the wheel. And that is the track that you're seeing as I go down the line of my concrete here and why that portion of the lawn is not being cut. So what I'm going to need to do, I'll come back with my rotary scissors and clean that up. I got to tell you, that California trimmer catalyst, it's a beast. It's definitely a hefty mower. Definitely not for the faint at heart. But let's go and take a look here. See how well it did on the back lawn. Not too bad, not too bad. Let me go ahead and turn it around. All right, guys, so as you notice here, took off quite a bit of the green. But that's okay. I just want my growth to be consistent all the way across the lawn. Of course, we have some areas that are growing more than other areas, but over here on the left side of my lawn, definitely takes the longest to green up. It's not like some of the other parts of my lawn where I'm sure the soil temperature is warmer over here. That's why we have so much more of a green up. But as I'm kind of still looking at the lawn here, as where I'm looking through some of these areas that are a little more dormant, such as this right here, I think this is a result from when I did use my Celsius and Certainty herbicide. That's why it's always important that you are mindful of using any type of herbicide whenever your lawn is in the middle of greening up, because it definitely will slow it down. It's not going to kill it, but it'll just take a little bit longer to fully green up. But overall, I got to say, I'm very happy with how well the California Trimmer Catalyst did on my lawn. All right, guys, so let me go ahead and jump in here. I'm going to give you guys a quick update on the front lawn now. I cannot believe I'm going to have to be spraying this out. But it's not all perfect, so I don't feel that bad. Let me go and show you guys what I mean. All right. So I got in a mow using my Eagle rotary mower. And you may be curious, well, Dwayne, why did you choose to use your Eagle rotary mower and not one of your real mowers? Well, as you guys can see here, it's kind of windy today. I've had a lot of wind in the forecast the last few days. And the lawn just had a lot of debris all over it. So that's why I liked using the rotary mower to be able to pick up all that debris. Now, as I mentioned, it's not all perfect. As you guys can see here, I got quite a bit of weed pressure. Now, this is the problem, though, anytime you have both warm season turf and cool season turf mixed within the same lawn. Now, if I put on any type of warm season herbicide, it's going to kill off the rye. And at the same time, if I use a cool season for herbicide, it's going to hurt my Bermuda. So this is generally the problem you have whenever you're mixing a cool season turf with the warm season turf. And that's why it's really difficult to be able to keep both. And you really don't want to keep both. So my plan, yes, I know, it's really scary, is to spray out this beautiful, beautiful perennial rye. Ugh, breaks my heart. Now, even though I'm going to burn off that ryegrass, My Bermuda is starting to wake up, but as you guys have seen or have heard me talk about my front lawn, I've had difficulty with it just because of the amount of shade that I have. Now, the shade is not necessarily something that's going to get fixed. However, I was thinking, what could I possibly do as a possible renovation to my front lawn? You know, I don't know, just something I'm kind of thinking about. Not sure if I'm actually going to go through with it. First things first, we need to spray out that rye, and then we'll look at what our options are. You know what? Let's use that. So Dwayne, did you really have to stop and switch over to the walk behind edger to finish your edging? No, of course not. Oh, but that true cut is just so cool. I love that walk behind edger. You know, my Eagle edger works really, really well too. Don't get me wrong, but there's just something about a walk behind edger. I absolutely do not need that machine. But speaking of equipment, the California Trimmer Classic. That's right, one of my favorite mowers of all time. You know, I've been doing some work on it and been putting a video together for you guys. In fact, I thought I would have that video out before this video, believe it or not. But because of the fact there's been some unforeseen things that happened during that video, it's taking me a little bit longer. But I'm very excited about it. It will be a long video. A long video. So, hope you guys enjoy it. Please be on the lookout for it. You know, one of the ways you'll be able to know that I put it out there is subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Be sure to give me a like on this video and be sure to comment down below with whatever you have to ask me, tell me, show me, whatever it is. But remember, in order for all of us in the lawn care community to have the best growing season to date, be sure to be excellent and party on.